I got tons of opportunities as part of that split. It felt as if I was solving a Rubik's cube with while blindfolded. It was difficult, but I enjoyed every moment of it. Um, there, my focus was mainly on simplifying the customer journey for the developers in PayPal's ecosystem. And that was the first time where I got introduced accidentally to technical program management, and I've never seen back after that. I've always been in that space for more than a decade now. After eBay, I joined Amazon in their advertising technology space. It was an impressive scale growth for that business unit in Amazon, which was something I was looking forward to. And then finally, I joined Roku, a little over 4.5 years with this company. Uh, so let me give you a bit of background on what Roku is, what it does. It's a streaming platform with the presence is in North America, Latin America, and some parts of Europe. The primary mission of Roku is to connect the end consumers who wants to stream with advertisers who wants to monetize and meet their advertising goals, and content publishers who want to reach out to broader audiences. In terms of numbers, Roku has 80 million plus households. They are present in 80 million plus households, which means approximately 120 million users, and it's been growing pretty well over the last few years and couple of decades now.
And so, can you tell me a bit about what your role is in Roku?
Sure. So when I joined the company, I was part of the centralized program management organization. We look at ourselves as internal consultants. So as part of that group, we got strategic initiatives directly from the office of the CEO. We usually got involved when the business problems were complicated, or some specific technological problems have to be solved, or there are tight timelines to work with, or there are some product launches which requires tons of cross-functional collaboration across the company. I did that for a couple of years, and then through some reorgs, I got embedded within global advertising technology organization, and currently that's what I do program management for. My day-to-day life in general revolves around one of these three buckets. One is helping with strategic or executive material preparation, so quarterly earnings call. So we help with help make material and presentations for that. QBRs, MBRs, like things like that. The other bucket is strategic initiatives, which includes product launches, technical partnerships with companies outside of Roku within the company. And then the final bucket is roadmap planning and execution. So we plan for yearly OKRs, objectives and key results, and connect those with quarterly roadmaps and help in executing those roadmaps in collaboration with engineering and product organizations.
Can I circle back to the advertising tech? What is advertising tech, first of all?
So in the digital world, that's where Roku is in the streaming side of things. A typical ad campaign lifecycle revolves around four main buckets. You start with planning, where you figure out what an advertiser wants, what are their goals, what is the budget, by when do they want it, what are the audiences they are targeting. So that's the first bucket for planning. Second bucket revolves around configuration. Now those things have to be configured in a system so that you can show an ad to an end consumer. There are like industry standards, for example, Google Ads Manager or the Trade Desk. These systems are more on the demand side of the platform, where the demand is there. Like consider Nike wanting to show a shoes ad in a specific region for a specific target audience. So like for those type of advertisers, they wanna first plan for something and then they will configure it in the system. Third is activation, which is showing an actual ad to the end consumer. In terms of Roku, when a consumer goes on a Roku's TV, starts it, and if there is an ad served content, they're watching something and they see a video ad, or if they're on a Roku home screen, they see a display ad. That's where the activation part comes in. And the final step of the ad campaign life cycle is measurement. After showing an ad, companies want to know how it performed. Did it help them meet their results? How many new customers they got, or did they get retention, or whatever their goals are, were they able to meet those or not? So I think the way to look at a ad tech system is like there are three parts to it. One is the demand side of the platform, which is where advertisers or the agencies want to show an ad. They deal with that side of the technology. Then there is supply side of the platform where you have networks. So anything that any network that has content to be shown which is ad served, and they would want the end consumers will see the ads through that side of the ecosystem. And then there are like supporting agents and supporting companies in between. You can look at, like, for example, advertising agency. They will help the end advertiser to show an ad on multiple platforms. In this case, it could be Roku plus some other platforms. And then there are like third party measurement companies, there are privacy related companies. So like all those are they fit into the middle layer of supporting uh, agencies or partners. So in general, the ad ecosystem end to end is like demand side, supply side, and then supporting agents.
What are some of the product launches you've worked on personally?
Some of the product launches, we launched something last year on Roku's platform. It's called as All Things Food and All Things Home. The It's basically a specific zone where you have curated content for all things food. It's everything related to food, where you also see content from Roku's own channel. It's called as the Roku channel, and then third party publishers or networks, whoever are showing their content on Roku's platform. We combine all of that into a single zone so that customer can get curated content for that specific bucket. And like we launch that zone, and then all things food, and then all things home, which is gardening and home decoration, home improvements related content, all to be shown at once. And so that's just an example of a product launch and how what it means for us.
Brilliant, and I suppose that leads us nicely into a conversation on that age-old thing, the algorithm.
Right.
Well, can you talk a bit about how Roku uses algorithms?
Um, I'll keep this a bit generic.
Yeah.
Roku and all other companies, they use algorithms in different contexts. And so maybe we can choose one example of, let's say, recommendation system. So be it like when you go on Netflix's UI, you will see tons of recommendations which are personalized to you, and the same applies to Roku and other companies. There was a research from 2015 which Netflix did, which says that after 60 to 90 seconds of search, the consumers are kind of done with it, and so they will either find what they want to watch or you will lose the interest. And looking at it from the other perspective, companies only have 60 to 90 seconds to help customers find what they want to stream on these streaming platforms. And so there are tons and tons of algorithms on the back end which helps basically curate that experience, because every person has a different taste, and contextualization and targeting those specific requirements of a person is very important. Otherwise, you will soon lose interest. And so the algorithms, they look at different personas involved. So like from a user standpoint, they will look at what are my viewing habits, what are my viewing preferences, what have I streamed, and things I like in general. From a network perspective, they'll look at the quality of the content, how popular is the quality, what are the goals of those networks or specific shows, and how can we best promote those on the platforms. And then they kind of try to match those together to give suggestions. Like there could be thousands of shows which a customer can browse or stream. Out of those thousands, coming up with top 20 or top 30, it's not that easy, but that's where these algorithms and machine learning technologies come into picture. And they have this constantly learning ecosystems where they are constantly trying to improvise based on what a customer selects, based on what network, based on the content the network has to show. And you can also now add in the mix of AVOD versus SVOD, meaning advertising based content versus subscription based content. And it also depends on what those publishers or networks want to achieve in terms of those two types of content they want to show the end user. Because the streaming world is getting more and more consolidated. Some people prefer a mix of ad-based content versus subscription-based. Some rely heavily or lean heavily on subscriptions. Some lean heavily on advertisements-based content. And so coming up with the right level of granularity and the right solution for an end customer is where these algorithms come into play.
Yeah, I know there's some debate about whether or not algorithms make us sort of passive viewers. I subscribe to Mubi, which is like a curated streaming service, which kind of has it's selected by experts, which sort of harks back to the old days when you have to go to the video store, go to the DVD store, and actively search for something, and you find something new and interesting along the way. Um, but I mean, what are the benefits of the algorithm for people listening? Do you think?
I think the biggest benefit is the tolerance for not seeing what we want to see is lesser these days, especially with younger generations. Historically, I used to enjoy going in a shopping mall, just browsing
Yeah.
around, doing window shopping, and then if I want to buy something, I may or may not. But the world is very different now, especially post COVID. People want everything quickly and
Yeah.
at the fingertips, maybe sitting in the comfort of their home. And so the biggest benefit is not wasting time on things which I may not be interested in. For example, younger population may not be interested in watching news. They might be more interested in some comedy movie or a thriller or something on those lines. So if we don't customize it for them, then you will end up losing their attention, because the moment I come and if I see news and those recommendations, I'm gonna be easily carried away and I'm like, no, this is not what I want, and I'll move on to some other platform. So giving customers what they need as quickly as possible is one of the biggest benefits of using these algorithms and customizing it. On the other side, some people might have privacy related concerns on,
Yeah.
oh, you know too much about me. And that's where these rules and regulations by different regions in EU, in America, there are different laws, they come into picture. And also the businesses have to be ethical to an extent where they are not overdoing this. Like
Yeah.
certain areas, maybe the regulations are not well defined. Like streaming industry is new and upcoming. We have good regulations now, but like 10 years ago, there were not enough regulations in this industry. So things are improving now, but it's also up to the businesses to not cross that line and respect customers' privacy. But nowadays, customers are also getting a lot of choices in terms of how they want companies to track their data. So if you choose those specific privacy settings, then it will be lesser customized, so that for that audience who would prefer privacy over this, there are options out there and they can customize it for their use case as well. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, in terms of benefits, you get personalization, and a lot of people prefer it. I think the bottom line here is serving the right content as soon as possible with the least friction. That's the goal these companies are trying to achieve, and as long as you can get to that point without impacting the privacy concerns, nothing like that. But obviously, it's not easy to solve, and it takes a lot of effort for these companies to come up with those recommendations.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a difficult balance, I'm sure. Maybe I'm old-fashioned as well, but I always found beauty in the search if you're looking for something, because you come across hidden gems, you'd find
That's
things
right.
you wouldn't have found otherwise. You
That's
know.
right.
So I suppose I don't know, if you're being told you'd like this, you're sticking in the same box maybe, but I don't know. I guess everyone's different.
That's
Yeah.
right. Everyone is different, but that's where the research I was talking about comes into picture, where Netflix basically said, after looking at 10 to 20 titles, customers lose interest. And now
Yeah.
obviously they are generalizing it, but if that's where the majority of the population is, then that's where they are gonna cater their business towards.
Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. So you are speaking today as well, aren't you?
That's right.
Can you, I suppose, briefly tell us about what you're going to speak, what you are going to be speaking about?
I am going to speak about AI in the context of streaming industry and as it relates to technical program management. To summarize, the biggest question we are getting in general is, where is AI taking us and what's next? And so we are going to touch on some of those points. I'll share a small update from that conversation. I came across this Gartner study where they are claiming that by 2030, approximately 80% of the program management tasks, which is where I come from, will be taken over by AI. And I am personally skeptical about it. If that's the case, then we should let robots manage Gantt charts and we can go manage 10 lines on a beach and enjoy a beach chair. I
Yeah.
think in my opinion, the future is changing. The role of program management will drastically change, but we are custodians of change. One of the key qualities for us to succeed in our role is being flexible and adaptable to any changes in the business. So I'm looking at AI upgrades or whatever advancements in the technology as any other technological change. Things we did 20 years down the line, we are not going to do the same because what got us here won't get us there. And so we are now doing things differently. And with this change, it has it has made a lot of differences in our day-to-day lives. So it will change the role in the future of a lot of different job families in the overall corporate world. Um, but the best thing to do is just get the benefits out of it, use it ethically,
Mm.
and create a win-win situation.
Yeah, no, that's very true. You mentioned that you were skeptical of AI sort of being so advanced that we would take over everything. Does it concern you in any way, the advancements in AI, or?
It doesn't concern me.
Okay.
I think what concerns me is not using this technology the right way. There are a lot of, for example, privacy related, data quality related issues surrounding AI in general. And companies are up leveling their advancements in this space within this like boundaries, and the boundaries are being well defined nowadays. But uh, that's what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about AI taking over. I'm actually looking it as a positive. So,
Mhm.
for example, like part of my job is to like after the meetings summarize meeting notes, draft next steps, and like collaborate with like stakeholders who are in the meeting. Historically, let's say for an hour-long meeting, it used to take me 30 to 45 minutes to summarize next steps, action items, and key discussion topics. With this AI, because it does a lot of these things, it takes less than 15 minutes to do the same thing. And so, will it replace what the value I bring on table? No, I think it will supplement what I bring on table, and I also have to adapt and start adding value to other areas where I may not have done it historically because I was spending too much time on certain things. But with this change, if it frees up like let's say 20-30% of my time, I should figure out which other business problem I can target to focus and solve
Mhm.
down the line.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go, get ready for your talk. But before we leave this session, is there anything at Dublin Tech Summit that has piqued your interest? Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing over the next day, I suppose?
Um, there are some startups which are doing new things
Mm.
around natural language processing. There is one startup which is reinventing the way we look at patent filing. So it's just these random things which I'm like, okay, I would want to know more about it. And so I stopped by their desks yesterday, learned more, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come back tomorrow and see what else can we
Mhm.
do in this space. So it's just like a lot of, I think with this whole new Gen AI change, which has come in the last 2 years, lots and lots of startups are focusing in that space, and I'm just excited to further explore what they have to offer, what their vision is, what they want to do 5-10 years down the line, because I believe that things are going to drastically change, and some of these companies will be the torchbearers of those change down the line.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Dharma, thank you very much for speaking to me this morning, and I wish you all the best with your talk in the next. I believe it's in half an hour.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you for speaking to me
Thank
today.
you. It was
Yeah,
wonderful talking to you.
brilliant.
Thank you.